Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Getting Started with Yulio webinar. My name is Nicole. I'm one of the client success specialists here at Yulio, and I'll be hosting today's session. So our main objective for today's webinar is to provide an overview of the Yulio platform and its key features so that you can leave feeling confident to start creating your own VR experiences. This training will cover a lot of information, so if you have any questions along the way, please feel free to enter them in the chat box and I will answer them during the Q&A period at the end of our session. To add to that, my contact details are on the screen now, so if you leave today's session with any questions or if you'd like to follow up with a one-on-one training session later, please feel free to reach out to me. Lastly, if you do have to leave today's session early, I am recording the full webinar and will send that to all registrants, so you'll be able to watch it later and share it with your team as well. So here's our agenda for today's webinar. We'll start off by briefly going over Yulio Jump. We'll then do a quick overview of what you can expect to see in your Yulio account. After that, we'll go into creating and organizing your projects, followed by enhancing your projects with the Hotspot editor. We'll then look at some options for viewing and sharing your projects and finish off with a Q&A. So to start off, I'm going to briefly go over Yulio Jump. So if you don't know, Yulio Jump is our cloud-based rendering engine, which is available through the Yulio plugin for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. The plugin is free to install and use for those with an active Yulio license. Yulio Jump allows you to generate content for virtual reality and augmented reality with only a few clicks, and then sends those files directly to your Yulio account where you can create your immersive VR experience. I'm not going to be covering how to render with the Yulio plugin today, but I wanted to mention it as I will be referencing it throughout the session. Following the webinar, if you're interested in learning more about using Yulio Jump, you can visit the CAD plugins page on our website. So this page offers detailed user guides for Yulio Jump for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. You can also download the plugins from this page as well. And we also have a learning portal that features on-demand training courses for Yulio Jump for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. And all of these resources are included in your account and are available to you and your team at any time. Of course, if you prefer, you can always reach out to me and I'd be happy to set up a meeting to walk you through the plugin in a one-on-one setting. Okay, now let's move on to a quick tour of your Yulio account. When you first log into your account, you will be automatically taken to your projects page. This is where all the projects on your account will be stored and where you can go to create a new project if you're creating your project without Yulio Jump. You can always navigate to the project page just by clicking on this tab here at the top of the page. Next to our projects tab, we have the headsets tab. This is where you can go to connect one or more headsets to your Yulio account. You can also download projects to your headsets from this secondary headset projects tab. You can add up to 20 projects at a time to your headsets. The next tab we have here is Collaborate. Collaborate is our presentation and collaboration tool, and this is where you can go to start a Collaborate session. We'll return to this page a little bit later when I cover sharing and presenting your projects. Next to Collaborate, we have the Resources tab, which includes direct links to the CAD plugins page and learning portal that I mentioned earlier. You'll also find a link to our knowledge base here, and this is a great resource to reference if you have any question about how to use any of Yulio's features. The last tab at the top here is where you'll see the email associated with your Yulio account. So if you click on the company settings tab, this is where you account admins can keep track of account usage and manage licenses. From this custom branding tab here, you can add your company logo and it will appear every time you enter a project in VR or browser mode. So, this is a great way to kind of personalize your VR experiences. All right, so now that you have a good idea of what you can expect to see when logged into your Yulio account, I am going to return to the projects page and get into creating and organizing your projects. So, as you start creating with Yulio, all of your projects will be organized into folders along the left side of your screen. Yulio offers two different types of folders, public and private. You can tell which folders are public because there is a person icon on the folder. When you log into your account, you should see a folder titled Team. This folder is public by default, which means that this folder and all of its subfolders are visible to you and anyone that is a user on your account. The solid black folders are private folders. Um, these folders are visible to you, any team members you give access to, and anyone listed as an admin on your account. Private folders can be helpful if you have more than one team member on your account. So to create a new folder, you can just scroll to the bottom of the folders column and then click on create new folder. This pop-up will appear for you to name your folder. And then once you hit create, it will be created as a private folder. So by default, all new folders are created as private folders. If you wanted to make your folder public, you can just click and drag on the folder and group it as a sub folder under Teams. And then if you wanted to change it back to private, again, just click and drag it down back to the bottom of your list. All right, now let's get into creating our first VR experience. So there's two ways that you can go about this. The first is with Yulio Jump. When you render your projects with Jump, a new Yulio project will be automatically created for you, and it will appear in your Yulio account like this here. So if you choose not to render with Yulio Jump, you can always create a new project manually by clicking on this Create Project button. This will open up a new project where you can manually upload all of your scenes and any other content that you want to include in your VR project. Today, we're going to go back to our projects page and we're going to imagine that we rendered with Yulio Jump and our project has just finished processing. So I'm going to open up this project here as if I just rendered with Yulio Jump. So right now I'm on the project edit page of this project that was designed in CET and rendered with Yulio Jump. As you can see, my project scenes that I captured in CET were processed and uploaded here for VR. With Jump, you can also choose to have your floor plan and augmented reality assets generated and uploaded for you, which I have done and I'll show you in a little bit. Like I said earlier, you don't have to use Yulio Jump to create a VR project. So if you choose to render your scenes with another rendering engine, you can manually upload those scene renders just by creating a new project and then clicking on this Browse button. Okay, so since my scenes are ready, which is the most important part, I'm going to take you through some of the project enhancement assets that we can upload. So if you look at this column here, you'll see we have our scenes tab, and we also have audio, images, videos, AR, and floor plan. I'm going to take advantage today of all of our enhancements, just so you can see how you can use each of them to elevate your VR project. But please note that these are all optional. That being said, we do encourage you to take advantage of at least some of these extra project elements as they can help provide your clients with additional context around design choices and deliver a more interactive and engaging experience overall. So our first enhancement option is audio. There's a couple of different ways you can incorporate audio into your VR experience. The first is through audio hotspots, which are placed as a clickable hotspot anywhere in your project. A couple of ways you can use audio hotspots are to insert a welcome message or describe a design choice. The second way you can incorporate audio into your project is through ambient audio. Ambient audio will automatically play when your viewer enters a scene, so there's no hotspot associated with this audio. A couple of ways you can use ambient audio would be to add music or background noise to your project to set a certain mood and maybe make the experience feel more immersive. If you're interested, we do offer sample audio files for you to download from the project's resources page, which you can access here by going to resources and then project resources. So, regardless of how you will be using your audio, you will upload all of those files here. So, doing that now, I'm just going to click on this browse button and upload my audio files. Our next enhancement option is images. So here you can upload a JPEG or PNG file and add it as an image hotspot anywhere in your project. Some ways you can use image hotspots are to show your client a real life product shot, a material sample, or even a before and after photo. Again, to upload my images, I'm going to click on Browse and select my images to upload. Next, we have video. Like images, you can insert video anywhere in your project as a video hotspot. A couple of different ways we see video being used are to incorporate product videos or to introduce the designer and maybe have them share some details about the design. Anyone with an active Yulio license can add a video to their project from YouTube. So to add a YouTube video, you'll just copy the URL from the video on YouTube and then return to your project page and then select add a video from YouTube. And then you'll just paste the link and add. One thing to keep in mind with adding a YouTube video is that you will not be able to view that video in Yulio from a VR headset. You will only be able to view the video in the browser mode experience. So that would be from your desktop or your phone. Now, if you're interested in uploading a video file directly from your computer, Yulio does offer a premium video add-on at an additional cost. So with this option, you can view the video in browser mode and on a VR headset. The premium video add-on also enables you to incorporate video scenes into your VR project. So if premium video is something you're interested in, you can feel free to reach out to me later and I can put you in touch with one of our account executives to go over that with you in more detail. Okay, our next project enhancement we have is AR or augmented reality. As you can see, I already have my AR model uploaded here because, like my scenes, they were generated during the rendering process with Yulio Jump. So a benefit of adding AR to your VR project is that you can bring certain elements in your project to life for your client. So using just a phone, tablet, or a VR headset, your client can actually see what the object will look like in the context of their own physical space. The easiest way to create AR content for your Yulio projects is with Yulio Jump for Revit, SketchUp, and CET. If you want to learn more about adding AR to your Yulio projects, I encourage you to check out the Yulio Jump user guides available on the CAD plugins page that I showed you earlier. Again, you can reach that just by selecting the Resources tab and then CAD plugins. So from this page, you can download those individual user guides that I pointed out earlier. And in each of those guides, there will be a section included that covers how to generate AR assets through Yulio, the Yulio plugin. So if you choose not to use Yulio Jump, you can always manually upload an AR model from your files, just as long as it meets our compatible upload formats, which you can see just by clicking on this tab. The final enhancement option we have here is floor plan. Like I mentioned earlier, if you render with Yulio Jump, your floor plan can be automatically captured and uploaded to your project for you, which I have done, so mine is already uploaded. Again, if you don't use Yulio Jump, you can always upload your floor plan manually. And if your space is multi-level, you can add multiple floor plans here as well. So when you include a floor plan in your project, Yulio allows you to add location markers to that floor plan, which I will show you later on. These location markers will represent each of your scenes, and your clients can use these to help them identify where they are in the space and also use them to navigate to new scenes as well. All right, so these are all of the enhancement assets you can add to your project. You can always come back to this page at any time if you want to add more assets or remove assets. One of the great things about Yulio is that you don't have to remember to save your changes along the way. All of your edits are automatically saved as you go. So now that I have all of my assets uploaded, the next step would be to open up the hotspot editor and start adding the enhancement option, the enhancement hotspots to my scenes using the assets I uploaded. So you can open the hotspot editor from this page just by clicking on this big blue button. So when you open up the hotspot editor, you'll see that you are standing in your first scene. And then if you look to the left of my screen, you'll notice all of your hotspot editing options along the left-hand side. So we'll go through each of these one by one. The first editing option here is target scenes. So if you've added more than one scene to your project, this is where you can add or edit your navigation hotspots throughout all of your scenes. So if you don't know, navigation hotspots are Yulio's form of point-to-point navigation. Your viewer can activate these hotspots to move to new scenes, and it helps give your viewer a sense of walking around the space. So as you can see, my navigation hotspots have already been placed in my project. Those are the white circles that you see on screen. When you render with Yulio Jump, you have the option to add navigation hotspots to your scenes during the rendering process. So that's what I've done here, and it just saves me from having to do it manually myself. That being said, I do typically like to come into the hotspot editor to fine tune the placement and the size of my navigation hotspots that are generated through jumps. So this is where I can go to do that. So if you want to adjust the location of your hotspot, you can just use your mouse to click on the hotspot and drag it exactly where you want it. Yulio Jump will typically place your hotspots at eye level, but we've also seen users place their hotspots on the floor so that they don't take away from the scene. In this project, my um, desk hotspot or view 2 is a seated view. So I like to actually move the hotspot down a little bit to represent that seated position. To edit the size of the hotspot, you can click on the hotspot and then select this pencil icon. And when you do this, this will open up the hotspot properties where you can use this depth slider to adjust the size of the hotspot. And I say size, but technically what this tool is doing is making your hotspot appear closer or further away in VR, which helps the viewer distinguish between near and far. So you'll adjust the depth slider depending on how far away or close you want the hotspot to appear in relation to your current camera position. I'm just going to leave mine closer to near because it is closer to me than my view 3 and view 4. I'm just going to open up those hotspot properties again. So within these properties, you can also edit the title or hide the title of your hotspot. You can also scroll to the bottom here and change the color of your hotspot. So white and black are kind of our standard options, but you can also open up this paint tab and choose any color you'd like. Now, if you didn't use Yulio Jump, or if you just prefer to add your hotspots in manually, you can do so just by dragging and dropping each scene into your current scene based on its location. So when you go to add a navigation hotspot, you'll see a thumbnail image here. That's your target view, and this tells you where that camera or hotspot should be positioned in the scene. So you would just drag and drop the scene or the hotspot into that location. From there, you'll be able to adjust your properties such as the title, the size, and the color. One important note to add here is if you're adding your navigation hotspots manually, you will have to add your hotspots to each scene. So don't forget to move scene to scene and repeat those steps. So once you added all your hotspots in here, you can use this next scene button to move to the next scene. And again, drag and drop all of those scenes into your project. All right, so now that I have my navigation hotspots, I'm going to continue moving down the list here. Next, we have audio. So here are the audio files that I uploaded earlier. This is just, I'm going to return to my home or my first scene here just so we can add those hotspots in. So we have a welcome message here. And I'm going to add it into my scene just by dragging and dropping it where I want it to go. Once I drop the hotspot, like I said, I can edit my audio properties here just like my navigation. So I'm going to leave this title on. However, I am just going to shorten my title to welcome. Longer titles can kind of take away from your scene, especially when you're viewing in VR. So I do like to shorten them. And then I can adjust the depth, although it looks pretty good how it is. And then I'll press close. All right, continuing down the list, we have text hotspots. So some ways you can use text hotspots are to insert a welcome message, offer product details or specs, or provide any additional information about the space. To create my hotspot, I'm going to click on Create Annotation. And if you notice, text hotspots are the only asset that we didn't upload anything in advance for. So if you wanted to add text to your project, you can do so straight from within the hotspot editor. So I'm going to use this text hotspot to promote Yulio's 30-day free trial. So starting with the title, I'm just going to write Try Yulio. And in the description, I'll add my short message. And then here's where I can add an external link. So this is a clickable link that will appear when someone opens the text hotspot, and they can click on that link to visit an online PDF or a web page that can provide more information. So first I can write the link title or the call to action. So I'll write get started. And then I can add in my link. So for this one, I'm going to add a link to Yulio's pricing page where someone can sign up for a free trial. And now I can adjust the depth. And then I'm just going to move my hotspot over here and press close. Okay, our next hotspot option is images. And I'm actually going to move to my third scene to add in my image hotspot. So I can do that just by clicking on the scene list button. And from the drop down, I'll select view 3. And now I'm in my third scene. So here's the images I uploaded earlier. Ideally, when you're creating and placing your enhancement options, if you're wondering why I moved to view 3, we recommend sprinkling our hotspots throughout all the scenes in your project. This can help keep your clients engaged as they move from scene to scene, and it also helps keep you from flooding one single scene with a bunch of hotspots. So now that I'm in my new scene, I can add in my image hotspot. Just like I've been doing, I'm going to click and drag my image into the scene to create a hotspot. So here we have a photo of another variation of the shelving system. So I'm going to place it over that shelf. And then looking at my hotspot properties, I'm going to hide this title which is just the product name, just so that it's not distracting within my scene. My client will still be able to see the title when they open up the hotspot. Again, I have the link. I have the option to add a link to this hotspot. So this would be a great time to link to the product page. So I can write here product details and then just add a link right to the page. And then I can adjust my depth and then press close. And that's done. All right, the next hotspot we can add here is video. And I'm going to actually move back to my second scene to add in the video. So I can do that just by clicking on this previous scene button. And this will move me to view 2. So we do often see videos being placed on a screen, so a TV or a computer, but you can place them anywhere you'd like. For this project, I'm going to place it right on the desktop screen in front of me. So I'm going to click and drag it. And then I'm just going to hide the title again. And you can add an external link to your video hotspot as well, but I'm just going to leave it blank today. And then we'll move that closer to us and press close. Okay, the last hotspot I can add here is AR hotspots. Like I said earlier, I rendered this project with Yulio Jump and I added my AR models to my render. So my AR hotspots were generated and placed in my project automatically. As you can see here, my AR hotspot is over this chair. So similar to navigation hotspots though, sometimes um, I want to come in and adjust the placement or the size of the hotspots that I generate through Jump. So I do like to come into the hotspot editor and adjust them if needed. So just by clicking on that and opening up the hotspot properties, I can come in and add an external link to these AR models. So for instance, if I want to link to the product page, I can add that in here as well for my client to learn more. Another thing I want to mention is when generating AR models out of Yulio Jump, Jump will place the AR model onto the object in every scene that you render. So for instance, if I jump to view 4, go over here. If I turn around, I can see that that AR model is placed on that chair that's way at the front of the room. So it doesn't really make sense, in my opinion, to have the hotspot over there because the furniture is so far away from this perspective. And I can get a better view of this chair from my first scene, my second scene, or even my third scene. So what I would do here is actually just delete the hotspot from this scene. Or in this case, if I want to keep it, since I have the same exact chair closer to me over here, I can just drag that AR model or that AR hotspot onto the chair that's right in front of me. That being said, if I do delete the hotspot, which I'll show you now, and I go back to view 1, I don't have to worry because it will still be placed on all on the chair in every other scene. So I'm just deleting it from that one scene. All right, moving on from hotspots, I'm just going to click on the next icon here, which will open my project's floor plan. So what you can do in the hotspot editor to enhance your floor plan is add location markers that are associated with your scenes. Because I rendered with Yulio Jump and I selected add floor plan, all of my location markers have already been accurately placed on the floor plan for me. So those are those red markers that you see on the floor plan. If you didn't use Yulio Jump, you would be able to come into the hotspot editor and add in those floor plan icons manually just by dragging and dropping them into the floor plan. So I can show you what that would look like quickly just by deleting one of these. So to add in the marker, I can look at this preview of the location of this marker from this thumbnail. And I just want to match that location as best as possible by dragging and dropping the marker onto the floor plan. So it's located about here. Maybe I'll move it down a little bit. But that looks about right. And then by having these location markers, your client can easily identify where they are in the space. Depending on which scene they're in, when they open up the floor plan, the location marker that represents the scene that they're in will be highlighted blue. And they can also use those location markers to navigate to new scenes just by clicking on them. So I'll show you this how this works later on. So the final enhancement that we're missing is our ambient audio. Ambient audio is actually created outside of the hotspot editor. So I'm just going to click on this back button, and that will take us back to our project edit page. So now that I'm back on this page, I'm going to add my ambient audio under the scenes tab, which we're in now. So you can add ambient audio to any or all of your scenes. As I mentioned earlier, ambient audio will play as soon as your client enters the scene where you've added the audio. So to add audio to a scene, you can click on this sound button. And then I'm going to choose, so here's all of the audio files I uploaded earlier, and I'm just going to choose my office ambience sound, which is just light background noise that you might hear in an office. So I'm going to click on the audio file to select it. And then from here, I can choose to loop it indefinitely or just once. So I'm going to select just once and then I'll press save. And now when my client enters my view one scene, the ambient audio will play automatically. And if I wanted to, I can add this audio to all of my scenes just by repeating those steps for each scene. If I wanted to remove the audio from the scene, I can just open up the audio file again and then deselect it and press save. So at this point, my project is ready and I can go ahead and view it. There are a couple of different ways that you can open and view your project, but from this project edit page, you can just click on this button here, which is our View in 360 button. And this will open up the project in browser mode. So this is what the browser mode experience looks like. And I can use my mouse just to click and drag around the scene to look around. As you can see, those hotspots we created are here in the space. And we'll explore and test out these hotspots in a little bit during our collaborate session. So for now, I'm just going to exit out of the project. So before we do that collaborate session, I just want to go over a couple of more things that you can do from your project edit page before I get into sharing and presenting your projects. So one feature I want to highlight is the replace button, which allows you to render and upload new scenes without having to create an entirely new VR project. So if you make edits to one or more scenes in your CAD tool and you re-render with Yulio Jump, Jump will send those files to a new project in Yulio. And from there, you can download those scene files just by clicking on this download button. Then you can come to your original project and replace your original scenes with the new ones. So when you do this, Yulio will allow you to keep all of your navigation and enhancement hotspots so you don't have to come in and add and edit all of your hotspots all over again. So to replace a scene, you'll just click on the icon I just showed you. So this replace icon here. And a pop-up will appear for you to upload the new file from your computer and replace your original scene. Another thing you can do from this page is duplicate your entire project with our copy function. So that's this button right here. This is a helpful tool if you want to make changes to your project without affecting the original. So you can duplicate your project, again, just by clicking on that icon, and a copy of your project will be created and added to the same folder. The next thing I want to cover is some ways that you can share your projects. So from this project edit page, if you look at the assets tab, you can see a few more tabs along that column. So we have assets, which we're in now, markups, share, and analytics. So I'm just going to click on our share tab here. Within this tab is where you'll find your project URL. Each project that you create with Yulio will generate its own URL, and you can copy and share it anywhere you would share a regular URL. So anyone with this link can open and view your full project unless your project is set to private, which I will show you how to do later. On the right side of the URL, we have a few more sharing options. This first icon opens your project's unique QR code that you can download and print or share digitally. In an event or a trade show setting, you can have this code on display at your booth, and anyone with a smartphone walking by can scan the code and the project will pop up on their phone. The next icon we have here is for text sharing. Beside that, we have the embed icon, which allows you to embed your project directly on your website. So this is a great feature because you can showcase one or more projects on your company website and they are fully interactive. So I'll show you an example of what this can look like. This is our VR showcase page on our website. And this beach project here is an example of an embedded project. So someone can come in here and explore the project just as they might if they had the link themselves. All right, beside the embed icon, we um, also have a copy function just to copy the URL quickly, and then a few more sharing tools. So on top of these options, another way you can share your projects is through our client galleries feature. So to access client galleries, you can click on the resources tab and then select client galleries. And then if you don't have any galleries created, you can select create gallery. So here you'll find two gallery options. We have individual and event gallery. So an individual gallery allows you to upload and share a personalized gallery of Yulio projects directly with your client, and they can view their gallery of projects on their phone, tablet, computer, or a VR headset. We also have an event gallery. This is great for setting up a custom project gallery on your VR headset before heading into a meeting or event. The best part about client galleries is you can create as many shareable galleries as you'd like without having to purchase another Yulio license. Okay, now I'm just going to return to my project edit page. So after sharing your projects, you might want to know how you can keep track of when and how they're being viewed. So if you click on this analytics tab here, this will open up your project analytics and you can see the data surrounding how, when, and where this specific project has been viewed. And it will break down that data by individual view. Finally, if you remember earlier, I said that you can private your project. So you can do that through your project settings, which you can access by clicking on this gear icon. So this will open up your specific project settings. By default, your Yulio projects are set to public, meaning anyone with the URL can view them. In the case that you've shared your project link with someone or multiple people, but now you want to revoke that access, you can update that privacy setting here. So right now you can see my project view permission is set to public, and I can private it just by clicking on that button. When your project is private, only members of your Yulio account who are logged in and authorized clients can view the project. So an authorized client would be clients who have the project available to them through a client gallery. Okay, so we are going to wrap up today's webinar with a collaborate session. So you can click on this tab here to start a collaborate session. If you don't know, Collaborate is Yulio's best tool for presenting your projects to clients and colleagues. When you host a Collaborate session, everyone can meet in the same virtual space, and you can guide viewers around the space, see what others are seeing, and collect feedback. We see this feature used for in-person and remote meetings, and even at events. So with Collaborate, all guests that you're meeting with, whether in person or remote, can join from a VR headset or in browser mode. So to launch a Collaborate session, you can just start on or click on Start Collaborating. Looks like that is going a little bit slow. Let's try this again. Okay, so once you click on Start Collaborating, you'll be met with something like this. So from here, I can click or select the project that I want to host my Collaborate session in. So we're going to open up that office space project that we've been working on. So something to note here is that if you have a headset connected to your account and you have projects uploaded to your headset gallery, when you start a Collaborate session, the first project in your headset gallery will auto load by default. So instead of having that pop up appear and selecting your project, that first headset gallery project will open automatically. You can always turn this setting off just by coming into your Collaborate settings here and turning off this button, which is auto load first headset project. So every time after that, when you open a Collaborate project, you can select your project manually. All right, so I've started my session. To add guests to my session, I can click on the person icon with the plus sign on the left side of your screen. So I'm going to do that. So if your guests are in a position where they can see the screen that we're looking at, they can scan this QR code on their phone and join on their mobile device. They can also join by going to live.yulio.com and entering this unique group code. So you can always share this link with them and then have them enter that code and they can join from wherever they're located. So I'm going to invite whoever wants to join this session to join on your mobile device. So you can either scan this QR code with your camera or visit live.yulio.com and enter the group code. So today's group code is 6PA5. And I will give you all a minute to join. So again, you can join just by opening up the camera app on your phone and scanning that QR code. Or you can go to live.yulio.com and enter that group code. And then when a new guest joins, you will be able to see their name pop up in this participants tab here, and I'll open that up shortly. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to join on your mobile device, you can look at my screen to see what your perspective will be as you host sessions moving forward. And then what you see on your mobile device is what your guest experience will look like. So before we get started, I just want to point out a new feature that is now available in Collaborate, which is our live meeting tool. Live meeting is an integrated function that allows you to speak to and hear from your guests right within the Collaborate session, meaning you no longer have to use an external communication or meeting tool to chat with your guests in Collaborate. What's great about this tool is that it works whether your guests are joining from a smartphone, desktop, tablet, or a VR headset. So to turn it on, you would just click on this Start Chat button, and you can start communicating in real time with your clients or colleagues. Obviously, I'm hosting a webinar today, so I'm not going to use that chat function, but it is available in your account, and we hope that you will take full advantage of it. It's a very exciting feature to have. Okay, so let's get started with our session. Looking at my screen as the host, there's two ways you can present your Collaborate session. We have present mode and explore mode. By default, Collaborate sessions will open in present mode, and we recommend starting off in this mode because it gives you, as the host, the control to guide your viewers through the experience and direct your viewers' attention to certain areas in a scene. In this mode, only the host can activate hotspots and move to new scenes, so it allows you to kind of control the narrative. Before we start looking around, an important thing to note is that while in presenter mode, your guest screens will not be following your gaze exactly. So if you join the session, you'll notice that we are in the same scene, but as I look around, the view on your phone doesn't follow. That being said, as the host, I can always direct my guest's attention to a certain area just by using our spotlight button. So that's this flashlight tool at the top of my screen. When I click on that, I can direct your attention over to an area of interest. So in this case, if I want to direct your attention to this text hotspot, I can click on that and you should see that your view was redirected to where I'm looking at. So let's take a look at some of those hotspots. We'll start here with this text hotspot. So when I open that up, you should be able to see that pop up on your screen. And of course, we have that external link located there. So your client can open that up and learn more, see more information. And now I can activate my navigation hotspots and move us all over to view 3. So if you join the session, you should have moved with me over to our third scene or view 3. So we're in a new scene, viewing the space from a new location. From here, I can open up my image hotspot. When I click on that, you should see that open up on your screen as well. And again, there's that external link to kind of learn more about the project if your client is interested. Now, if I open up the floor plan, and the floor plan button is just this map icon on the bottom of my screen. If I open that up, I can identify where I am in the space based on the location markers that I added earlier. So as you can see, the location I am in is highlighted blue. And I can navigate to a new scene as well just by clicking on one of these markers. So we'll move back to view 1. So now that we're back in our first scene, I'm going to test out one of the AR hotspots. So this is what the browser experience looks like when you're viewing an AR hotspot from your computer. So I can use my mouse to click and drag to view the object in full 360. If you have joined this session, if your guest has joined the session on their computer also, what they can do is click on this AR button at the bottom of the screen, and they can scan this QR code with their smartphone or their tablet, and this will open up the AR object on their device where they can see it as a digital overlay on their physical environment using the device's camera. So they can position the object, scale it, and walk around it. If your guest joined from a VR headset with mixed reality capabilities, so a camera, or if they joined from their phone or tablet, they'll be able to just open the object and have that true AR experience without having to scan any QR codes. So if you join the session from your phone, you can go ahead and try that out now if you haven't already. There should be an AR button at the bottom of your screen, and you can just click on that to open up the model and place the object on your physical surroundings. So you just want to make sure that you have enough empty space for you to drop the object. Otherwise, it might not function properly. But you can play around with that. And again, once you open the object, you can resize it, move it around, and even walk around it. Okay, I'm going to exit out of that now and just return to our collaborate session. So now I just want to mention explore mode. So in explore mode, which you can select just by clicking on explore. All your guests can explore the project freely, including activating hotspots and navigating to new scenes. During this time, explore mode will gaze through each guest's view every 10 to 15 seconds, so you can see what all your guests are looking at and where they are exploring. If you're in explore mode and you want to take back control, you can just click on present. Okay, that's it for collaborate. I'm just going to exit that now and end our session. And that will wrap up our Getting Started with Yulio webinar. So I know that was a lot of information to take in a pretty short amount of time, but I hope that you were able to learn more about your Yulio account and how easy it is to start creating VR projects. So thank you all for joining me today. If you have any questions, you should be able to submit them in a chat box, and I will stick around for the next couple of minutes to answer those. As a reminder, if you want to book an additional training session with me, my email is up on the screen, so please feel free to reach out and I will gladly work with you to set up a time for us to meet. Of course, you can also email me at any time if you have any questions that pop up later. So, thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great rest of your day and talk soon.